Hey, shalom. Welcome, everybody. So glad you're here. Shalom, Altruistic Torah Studies, Harrison, Aharon, Gary, Good News Assemblies of Pakistan, Jeff, Brenda, Pei, Maeve, Tet, Betty. Who else? Did I miss anybody? All right, that's all I see. Great. So glad you all are here live. If you're here and you want to chat and you can't, then you just need to sign in to YouTube. It won't let you participate in the chat directly if you're not signed in. Can you guys hear me okay? Shalom from rainy and sunny Philippines. So glad you all are here. Coming at you in 1440p. So if you have a higher resolution device, that's the highest YouTube will let us stream right now. They used to let us do 4K, and then something happened. I don't know. It doesn't allow it live anymore to do UHD, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. Let's just say a real quick prayer. Avinu malkeinu ken yhi ratzon ki balayla hazot ki divrecha yihyeh beoznei kol talmidai. Lolano lolano v'lecha yihyeh kol hakavod. Tishlach na לעלינו אדוני את רוחך, כי אנחנו רוצים לראות את פניך. אנחנו רוצים כי לקחנו יחיה טוב בעיניך. בכל הדברים האלה אנחנו נברכך בזכות ישוע HaMashiach. Okay. Glad to see you all. All right. More than a million. That's nice. It's been a few days since we went live, right? We've been doing, I guess we did on Saturday. But yesterday we were with a pre-recorded premiere, but I was live with you in the chat though. So let's get to it. We are in Exodus chapter 28, verse 36 with our directed Hebrew immersion. All right, let's see if this will work for you, if you can see it okay. I'll scan it first and then we'll go word by word. Ve'asita tzitz zahav tahol opitachta alaiv pituchei chotzam kodesh ladonai. All right, ve'asita. So asita, we know that's from rasa, right? The root we should know. Ayin, seen, and it ends in a hey, but the hey has gone away. So we're just left with these two root letters, ayin and seen. Rasa is to do or to make, and the ta at the end. By the way, yesterday we had auditory learning was our focus. Today our focus is visual learning, hence the colors and all that stuff. So rasi to, that to at the end, that should remind you of the word ata. Ata, as in Baruch ata Adonai, as all the brachas start. Okay. Of course, ata meaning you. So the tav here, that's the memory peg for the tav at the end of the verb, right? You see that ta, and it reminds you of ata, you talking to a man. So ta, this is a perfect form, which means usually, not always usually, that's going to translate it to an English past tense. So ta is you did or you made. But wait for it. We have our very special vav conversive. Let me make sure oh good, my filter's turned off. Okay. Want to make sure it doesn't show up as blocked to you. That vav conversive, that is our time machine. Many more a real clock has, but you get the idea. That's going to make it as if it's an imperfect, an incomplete action, which we usually will call that a future in English, right? That usually will render as a future, but not always. Remember, in biblical Hebrew, time does not work the same way as it does in most Indo-European languages. The focus is more about aspect. Aspect. Is the action completed? Like, is it sealed? Is it a complete action? Or is it not completed? And that not completed, that can have a huge nuance, a huge wave of different nuances. That could be a past tense that's ongoing. It can be present tense right now. It could be in the future. The perfect can be in the past, it's done. It can be in the future. It's like a sealed prophecy, an unchangeable prophecy. It's in the perfect, that's it. Or it can be a present soft command, right? So aspect is a little bit different than the way that we think of time as past, present, future. You're making a mistake if you approach Hebrew this way. Modern Hebrew dialect does work in that way because it was influenced by other languages, right? So, but biblical Hebrew, no, it's different. So you'll get into trouble with prophecies if you try to use modern Hebrew's aspect of time, understanding of time rather, if you try to force that on biblical Hebrew. That's not how it works. Okay. You guys doing okay? Any comments or questions? So, see, that's from asa, to do or to make. Ta, the ta, that's you. And then the va at the beginning is going to change the aspect. So, ve, ta. Now, vav can be translated all kinds of ways, right? And, but, or, if, then, when. Sometimes it just means exclamation point. Really, just kind of go with the feeling. Here I'd probably say then. Then, asita, you shall make. What are you going to make? Tzitz. Tzitz, like a flower, a decorative flower. That's this one here. Tzitz. But you'll notice I have the blue box around it, and that is our sign for the construct state. Tzitz zahav. Tzitz zahav. Flower ornamentation of zahav, of gold. Gold. Okay. Now, there's a lot going on here, so pay attention. In case you're wondering, I'm looking at my cool loop deck that I'm using for changing colors and stuff on the fly. So these guys, well, Zahav is actually the noun that we're going to be modifying. So Zahav, the last word in the construct chain, that's our noun, right? A person, place, thing, or idea. And the adjective usually follows in Hebrew. So we have Zahav. What kind of Zahav? Tahul, pure. That means pure. Zahav, tahul, pure. It's tahul because Zahav is masculine. So an adjective will agree with its noun in number, so that's like singular or plural, and in gender, yes, language does have gender, that'll be masculine or feminine, and in definiteness, that's if it's a thee or something, right? This is just, it's indefinite. Zahav is just some gold. What kind of some gold? Tahol, pure. Hey, shalom, mystical order of Israel. Yes, Boker Tov to you, Achi. Toda Rabbah. Thank you for that salutation. Harrison's gonna make me do the put the binary into decimal. Don't do it. Oh, I'm getting pulled in like a moth to the flame. Let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the 4, 16 plus 0, 1, 2. Let's see, squared 20, 21. Hey, 21. I just can't help it. All right, continuing. Ufitach ta. All right, I get the yes from Harrison. That was correct. Okay, don't do any more complicated than that. We'll to the fifth, to the sixth. All right. The verbal root here with ufitach ta, it's pei, tav, and chet, right? Patach. Patach. Patach is the basic meaning of this verbal root is open. Open, right? To open something, right? From this, we get a mafteach, which is a key, right? Remember, when you have a mem in front of some verbal root and it's not like a form of the verb, and you don't know what it is, but you recognize the root, try to think, is this something that could be used in accomplishing the thing that the verb does? Okay. If it is something that works in accomplishing the thing that the verb does, or it could be an actor, like the person who does the thing, right? It's not called actor, it's called like a profession, right? Although it doesn't have to be an actual job. In this case, a mafteach is something that helps you to patach stuff. It's a key. You open with a key, right? But that's not what it means here. Here, the meaning is going to be different for this verb, but we'll see in the context, okay? We can be hyper literal, and then you can see how even if you don't know all the nuances of a word, oftentimes the context still brings out the richness of how it's being used in a particular verse. Yes, listen to Admin Tet, please. Smash that thumbs up. Okay, patach to. So again, we have the to, reminding us of ata. So patach. Well, this is a PL form, so it's actually not patachta. Sorry, I didn't look at the vowels. It's pitachta. Pitachta means literally you will cause to be opened, right? Now, if you're talking about a material, this means to engrave. You're like opening up parts of the material, right? Removing some molecules of it. And then we have u. So patachta, it's a perfect, it means you did it already, right? The u, that's another vav conversive, just like this guy over here, right? That's what this guy's doing. It's pointed like an u only because of our bump schwa rule. When you put a vav, again, you don't have to know all these rules. Don't be stressed out. If you're new to what we're doing, learn one or two things every lesson, okay? Just swim in it, okay? Don't treat it like you have to understand everything I'm saying. We have different levels of learners. There's advanced students, some people that have been doing this for well over a decade that like to come into the immersion, and there's people that are new just learning how to read. It's supposed to have something for everybody. The point is, it's not wasted time. We're in the scripture. Okay, so don't stress. What is that? Oh, okay. Seems something. I'll get to it later. That's fine. Okay, so the u is there because the first letter is a pay, right? And we have our special rule I like to call the bump schwa rule. And really, it'd be nice if b/v or p/f. Oi, no. Bayan. There we go. And I shouldn't have made this guy. Oh, actually, it's fine. I just don't want to confuse you with the functions happening. So if that first letter is a b or any sound you make like that, really, there's another way to say this, but I'll do it like this. If it's a b or a v, or it's a m, or it's a p or a f, right? P or f, then the vav is going to change to be an oo sound. And that's why we have the oo here. That's why he's an oo. Because of the bump schwa rule. And then I'm going to use the neon color, neon green, because it's also functioning like a vav conversive, like this guy over here. Fitachta, fitachto means you engraved, like you wrote, you opened up part of the whatever the material is. Okay, but u changes it to an imperfect. U fitachta, and you shall engrave. So there's kind of a couple things going here. It's an u because the bump schwa rule, and then the pay doesn't have a dagesh because of the BeGaD KeFat rule, if you know that. So that's all the kind of changes that are happening there, right? That's why it's happening. Brenda just asked. Perfect. We're in sync. I didn't see your comment. Brenda's asking why P sound if no dagesh. Yeah, good question. Because when I was just telling you the verb, it's patach, right? When we say a verbal form, we assume there's no vowel sound in front of that word. It's just the word isolated. But what's happening here, you remember we have our BeGaD KeFat. Actually, before I get to that, let me summarize bump schwa in another way. This might work better for some people. You can also say that if the word begins with a labial, then we're going to get the oo sound. We're going to write with oo. Okay. A labial, labi, I think it's labi in Latin, means it's the lips. So the b, the v, the m, the p, the f, these are all letters that you make with your lips. Right? You try saying a V sound without using your lips. It's impossible. Okay? Or a P, right? Or a V, or a foot. You can't, right? You need the lips. So if it's a labial, that's the first letter of the word, then we go ooh. Now what Brenda's asking about is a quick review on the BeGaD KeFat letters. This is a Hebrew mnemonic. We say BeGaD KeFat. Okay. And these correspond to the letters Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Kaf, Fe, and Tav. Those 6 letters, when you write them in Biblical Hebrew, if there's not a vowel sound close to them, just right up in front of them, they lose their weak dagesh. If, however, there is a vowel sound right there, then they gain a dagesh. If there's no vowel sound in front of them, they gain a weak dagesh, it's called, just to affect the pronunciation. Fortunately, only 3 of those letters do we modify the sound anymore if we're going with a kind of quasi-Israeli pronunciation. It's Beit, it's Kaf, and it's Pei, right? So the Pei, like Brenda's asking, if it's got the dot, it's a P. Without, it's a F. The Kaf with the dot is a K, without is Ch. And the Beit with the dot is B, and without is V. These other ones, they used to change sounds. Or if you're doing Ashkenazi Hebrew, you'll still have a change in the Tav, right? In Ashkenazi, with the dot, it's T, without it's S, it's an S. But in ancient Hebrew, it would have been a TH, a silent th, not a voice th. The Dalet would have been, without the dot, it would have been like a vocalized th, or in some of maybe the Northern Kingdom, it could have been like a j, like a soft D. And then the Gimel was a g, and then depending on which tribe, it could be a j in some places without the dagesh, or a g, like a soft g. And hold on, I have to fix something on my camera that's annoying me as I look up to see what everything looks like to you guys. Hold on. No, back you go. Boom. Okay. And I overextended it before. There we go. Now you can see the writing better. See what you guys have to say. Oh, thank you, Maeve. She says labial or labiodental. Harrison says unless you're a ventriloquist. Okay, Gary, have a good meeting. Shalom to Gary over in Arkansas, the wonderful land of Arkansas, the only state in the United States with diamonds. It's a diamond mine, and the world's chief supplier of bauxite. I think something like 96 or 97% of the world's bauxite comes from Arkansas. You need that for making aluminum foil. So anyway, next time you're wrapping up your food and putting it, we can thank Gary's state for that. Shalom, Raphael. Raphael says, when did we stop softening the other consonants? That is a very good question. I suspect that some of it happened for some Jews during the Hellenization period. I don't really know exactly when it ended, though. But we know that the Masoretes they still pronounce both, because that's why we have these, right? So there's at least a large tradition that still maintained it. For sure, we can say for certain that immigration to Europe and into other countries caused a lot of the loss of the detail in pronunciation in Hebrew, right? So once Jews started moving to not having Hebrew as their native language anymore, but speaking Latin or later speaking German, really Yiddish, which is like ancient German, not ancient, but old German, or Ladino, speaking Spanish. When those languages became the primary language of the Jewish communities, a lot of this kind of got flattened. Yeah. Yes. Raphael says, so Shabbat was Shabbat? Absolutely. In fact, when you go from, in different languages, you'll learn, especially if they're cognate languages, one way that you can accelerate your learning is you learn little rules about like transitioning from one word when it passes over to another language, to the other, into a cognate language. There's certain rules that sometimes it follows. For example, like in English, D going into German will oftentimes be a T in a cognate word, right? And then there's some vowel changes too. So bread is brot, right? So you can, some things are predictable like that, even, right? Or like a th becomes a d in German. Thick in English is dick in German, right? In Aramaic, in Jewish Aramaic, going from a sheen would either become a tha, that was the th, the tav without the dagesh over on the right side, or a sin, a s sound. So listen, Shabbath, Sabbath. So it comes to us in English from Jewish Aramaic, not directly from Jewish Hebrew. From Jewish Hebrew, as if there's like a, is there an Arab Hebrew? So Shabbat became Sabbath. Pardon me, Shabbath became Sabbath. Yeah, and that's why it's Shabbos in Ashkenazi, because there's no Dagesh in the Tav, right? So Shabbos, and then that comes into Yiddish, and you get Git Shabbos or Good Shabbos. It's kind of fun, right, to know the history of how the things move around. And it'll really help you, Achi, when you get geared up for Aramaic and you know some of these, just some little rules, how things change. You'll look at a word that looks totally different, and then you realize, wait, the sheen became a tav, and this did that, and then you can kind of deconstruct what the word is, and it's a freebie. It's like a free vocabulary word. Mystical Order of Yisrael says, I know in Ivrit, Temanit, and Judo-Arabiya, they still pronounce the g as right. The Yemenites do that. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the tav as th. Very true. Yep. Yeah, most scholars believe that the Yemeni Jews have a closest form of pronunciation to one of the ancient pronunciations. I say one of the ancient pronunciations is because sometimes we talk about how was it pronounced in ancient Israel? Well, that's kind of hard to say because there's not a single pronunciation. We had even the Bible references Yehudit, like Judean, right? So this is the way that people spoke and pronounced things in Judea. Right? And then you've got the so-called Israelite dialect, which is the northern kingdom. And then there's various tribes and different dialectical forms and stuff. And you really see like this beautiful mosaic when we look at very old Hebrew writings, like the Psalms. You'll see that there's some strange dialectical forms depending on who the author was, because they're not all from King David. About half are from King David, right? You have other people who contributed, including converts to Judaism. Some of that is even provable by the kind of the linguistic footprints they left, right? So just really, really interesting stuff. I'm glad you guys are asking about that. I like that topic too. Yeah. So when we say the Yemenites, it's not that they have the right pronunciation. They have a pronunciation which linguists believe is closest to one of the ancient pronunciations, right? One of the ancient dialects. You remember the whole bit where one tribe is crossing the river and they can't say Shibboleth the same way, right? So you can already see, even within Hebrew tribes, people are saying things differently, right? So, yeah, etymologically intriguing, Harrison says. All right, so let's continue. Oh, Brendan, did you see what's happening here? Why the Fae has lost its Dagesh? It's because of the BeGaD KeFat rule, right? BeGaD KeFat rule. Because the Fae, that's the for here. And it's preceded by the oo sound right there. So a vowel sound close to the front of a BeGaD KeFat letter makes it lose its weak Dagesh. So that's why it went from pu to fa. But the meaning doesn't change. Yeah. Oh, great. Gary's catching up. Okay, let's continue. Ufitach ta, and you shall literally open. It's a Piel, like intensively open, which is engraving, etching. Alive, upon I've, upon it. But we can be hyperliteral. Upon him. That vav at the end is going to mean he. I'll just say upon he. Okay, he. Pituchehe chotam. Okay, we have another construct chain. Let me colorize that. Pituchim, you'll notice it looks similar to this guy over here, right? To pitach. That's a verb, a PL form of the verb, but this is actually a noun. Pituchim means engravings. And we drop the mem to put it in construct. So that means, so pituchim became pituche, engravings of chotam. or chotam. This is a seal. So like sealed engraving, literally engravings of a seal, like engraved, sealed engravings. Kodesh Adonai. Kodesh, you all know, holy. And then the lamed here is an inseparable preposition, lamed, meaning to or for, expressing ownership in this case, right? Kodesh Adonai, like holy to Adonai or for Adonai. Really both work here. Okay. Let me see how we're doing on time. Okay. Yes. Thank you for that, mystical order of Israel. Yes, good, good. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to read through that again because we did kind of do some little side things, and I do want to get another verse in for you guys. Let's see here. Work, work. Changing slides in 5, 4. In case you're wondering, tonight the drink is kosher with the hextra mark, English tea shop, organic, Happy Me. That's why I'm so bubbly right now. I'm drinking Happy Me tea with oat milk. Okay, hold on. Camera's doing something weird again. Let me. All right. Verse 37. Okay. V'samtaha otoho al petihi tekelet v'haya al hamitznafet el mul pene hamitznefet yeh. Okay. V'samta v'samto. So again, we've got our to, right? I'm not going to colorize it as much as before, but ata is what that should remind you of. This middle letter. You. Sam is from the verb seem. Seen, yod, mem. And that yod, when the middle letter is a yod is very weak, as is vav, because it used to actually be wow, a W sound. Y and w, they're not very strong consonants, right? So sometimes those guys will disappear, and you only have your first letter and your third letter, right? So sam ta, seem can mean to set, to place, to give. It can have the meaning of like to assign a rank or something. So samta would mean you set or you placed. Vesamta, we now have that vav conversive changing the aspect again. So instead of it being something that is completed, it's going to happen, right? That's our little kind of like a clock. Okay, let's do like this. Sorry, kind of sloppy, but making up lost time. Vesamta, and you shall place Oto. Oto. If ever you watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the changeling's name was Odo, right? So, which I think, what was it in Cardassian? It meant something like unidentified or unknown or without a name, something like that. So, Oto, the O is he. Just keeping it simple. And it's connected to et, the definite direct object marker, which we don't translate, right? So, Vesamto Oto, and you shall set it, literally him, because it's masculine, what we're talking about. Al, al, upon. Oh, my Zoom stopped working. That's funny. That's every once in a while that happens with my loop deck. My Zoom thing is gone. One of the customizations I put in there. Oh well. Al, upon, or near, petil, tekelet. We have another construct chain there. Aha, Brenda wants some of my tea. No way. Til, tekelet. Maeve knows that English tea is the best. Pitil, pitil, it's like a string, like just a little bit, like a little bit. So petil, construct chain, string of tekelet, tekelet. Now tekelet is kind of hard to translate. Tekelet, if you check some lexicons, they say violet, others will say like various blue shades or whatever. The reason for that is because the sea snail dye, when it dries in the sun, when clothes are that are dyed in it dry in the sun versus in shade, the color variation is different. So I think it's best just to translate techelet, techelet. But if you want, you could say like bluish. I think I've shared before in Yiddish, it's blauwohl, so blue wool. It's not exactly right, but there's some precedent. If you want to just say like a bluish hinge, fringe, or something, and just say there's some variation on the color, yeah. Vehaya. Haya, we know, especially if you like any of those Hebrew songs. Asher haya vehove veyavo, right? Who was and who is to come, right? So haya is he was or it was. But the vav in front of it is changing. It doesn't always do this, but here it is. It's changing the aspect. So instead of perfect, he was, it's imperfect. He will be. You know, imagine Yoda's teaching you Hebrew. Oh, you will be. Yeah. Vav. That's our flux capacitor. In my own Bible notes, I have a flux capacitor at times when I think it changes the time, or a nice commentator suggested that. Okay. So vehaya, and it will be. Literally, he will be. Like we have the key over here, right? It will be al hamitznafet. The word is really mitznefet. It's our little special guy. I'm sorry I can't zoom now, guys. Actually, I can. I just have to do a little bit more of some hotkeys. There we go. Okay. So you see this guy here, the little carrot top? He's the culprit. Over here, it's spelled right, mitznefet. But over here, mitznafet. So what's going on? That's a very strong ta'am, a very strong sense sign or accent mark. And so what he's doing is it's lengthening the short vowel segol. Those little three dots are lengthening to a kametz ah. Okay, mitznafet. This is a memorization tool that the way that the Masoretes had the text memorized, kind of with different melodies, I'm sure different than what we're using today, but it would help them to memorize. And so that is one of the strongest accent marks. The other one is the saluk over here at the very end, right? So although he didn't actually change the segol there, but it will change oftentimes as well. So al ha the mitznafet, the turban. Mitznefet is a turban. And let me mark the V. For anyone who hasn't learned this yet, this can be very illuminating. Part of the hardest part for people when they're learning Hebrew is learning to break apart the words to see the component parts, right? Once you've got the component parts, then it's like any other language, remembering the meanings and such. So ha, because I think mystical order of Israel will either know this already or be interested in it. In ancient Hebrew, primordial Hebrew, right? In pre-biblical Hebrew, the way that you said the was hal, hal, hey, lamed, hal. But it doesn't show up in the Bible. By the time we get to biblical Hebrew, standard biblical Hebrew, late biblical Hebrew, etc., it's already, it never stands alone as hal. You see it stand alone in Arabic, right? So Arabic, which of course is a child from Hebrew, right? All the Semitic languages, they came out of Hebrew, out of ancient Hebrew rather, which scholars will call something else. They'll call it like Old Semitic or something, but I call that ancient Hebrew. What they'll say al. You ever heard like al Malik, right? The king. So they still say al. It can stand apart. We said hal, but the lamed assimilates. It always assimilates. So that's why there is a dot in the mem. That's where the L went. And the example I love to give is in English we have the word in legal, in meaning not, and then legal. And so something is illegal. Well, we don't say illegal. Instead, the N, it assimilates into the L and it doubles it. We say illegal. That's why there's two L's, not legal. So same thing here. Hal mitznefet became ha mitznefet, or in this case, mitznafet, because the etnachta. You guys doing okay? Any comments or questions? All right. So upon the mitznafet, the turban. Al-mul pene hamitznafet yiche. El is like towards, like it's giving the idea of situated. Mul, mul can mean in front of, but then pene also oftentimes has the meaning of in front of. We'll come back to mul in a second. Pene, this is from the word panim, which means face. So the idea is you're facing the thing, right? You're in front of it. When you drop the mem, pene means face of or presence of. So front of hamitznefet. And we have a construct chain here. Let me mark that. Don't worry, we're going to come back and stitch it all back together. Okay. And you'll notice we have our definite article again. Ha. Okay. So when you have the definite article and the last word in a construct chain, that's what that thing is I drew in kind of aqua, or there's the blue box, and then we have aqua around the whole chain. It's going to distribute its definiteness, the the-ness of it, to every word in the chain. It doesn't always make sense in English to translate it that way, so we won't always do that. Oh, actually, hold on. Our construct chain is bigger. It's 3 words. Okay. Okay. So the the-ness is going to try to go to those other words as well. You just leave it out if it doesn't sound good in English or whatever your language is. So, el, towards, ha, the mul, facing of the pene, front of ha, the mitznefet, turban. So it means it's like pushed up against the front of the turban. It's kind of wordy, but that's what it's saying. Okay, thanks, Tan. Good. Thank you. Thank you. And then we have our final verb, yay. Yay. If you're new, I do my little tonal things to help with auditory learning. When we go low, that is telling you about an affix to a verb that's telling you who's doing the verb, right? It could be I, it could be you, it could be we, they, etc. Okay, so the you at the beginning, the yod at the beginning, when there's nothing at the end, that tells us it's he. He. Oh, I'm pointing at the wrong thing. There we go. So you, he, that's not how you actually read it, right? We just say yeh, right? But yeh. The rest of it is the same verb we have up above it on the right. So we had vehaya. Vehaya. Haya was perfect. It meant he was, or it was. Vehaya means and it will be. So the vav changed it to imperfect. But here above me, we have just the normal imperfect. Yeh. No need for the vav. Yeh means the exact same thing as vehaya. Vehaya and yeh, although no conjunction, right? So yeh, it shall be. El mul pene hamitznefet yeh. Towards the front of the face of the turban, yeh, it shall be. Any comments or questions? Oh, let me turn on my Patreon banner. Where are you? Where'd you go, Patreon? Order. Move to top. Well, it doesn't want to show up today. Okay, that's fine. I don't really know what's going on. Why aren't you here? Oh, hold on. Transform. Well, I'm waiting for questions. So let's see. Center the screen. There we go. There we go. There's our Patreon banner. Da da da. Da 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 da. He's kind of covering me up. Maybe we'll just put it there. Usually I have it in a better shape. Not really sure what happened there. Oi, not that's Okay. You just go away, Patreon. That's fine. If you'd like to support what we're doing here, please consider becoming a patron of mine. I really would appreciate it. You can do that there at patreon.com. It's just going to move by, how about that? Patreon.com/Hebrew literacy. Bye bye. Okay. You can sign up for a monthly donation. It's much appreciated. That's how we eat over here. And there's other videos for you if you're a patron, or you can get my book. The details are also over at Patreon if you want to get that. My translation of Genesis and commentary on that. So Gary says, by the way, I live about 25 miles from Bauxite, Arkansas. No way! Where bauxite was mined. Mines closed years ago, but local high school football team is the Miners. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Mystical Order of Yisrael says, like in Arabic, al can also be the definite article, same as hey. Right, not in Hebrew. Right, not in Hebrew. But yeah, in Arabic, al is like the ancient Hebrew hal. Yeah, exactly. There's a remnant of it. It survived into Arabic. For Hebrew, the hal is now shortened only to ha. We only have ha and then the doubling, so it's shortened. The al that you saw up here, that never means the. That means above, like over. Sometimes it means near or alongside of. And in very old texts, it can mean from. Right? That's al. Or metaphorically, it can mean concerning. Right? If it's you're talking about a topic, al hadavar, concerning the matter. Right? Piloni of so and so. Altruistic Torah Study says, excellent study on the Revelation Apocalypse on Patreon. Oh, yeah, thank you for that, Achi. Thank you, thank you. Hoping to fill that out some more as we have time. Nice. Pei is almost done with Genesis. Fantastic. Fantastic. Hong Kong represented in the house. That's great work, Pei. Really happy to hear. That's amazing. She just joined us about a year ago, right? Or was it less even? You are really trucking. That's great to hear that. Okay, if there are no other questions, I'm going to let you guys go and go about your day or the evening. May you be blessed. May Hebrew be on the mind, and may Adonai order your footsteps. Shalom, shalom.